Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, January 16th. Friendly reminder, the markets are closed on Monday for Martin Luther King Day. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will still be moving around. That's because the market's open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. Stock number one, ticker symbol AUVI. Big mover today. Started off with a nice gap up and then kind of went quiet. And then this afternoon happened and another huge surge came up, which now maps out a couple of key levels here. So the first level, you got to think a lot of people will be watching, and nothing complicated about this at all, just based on the question of where did the party finally stop today. And that was right up there at the $5 mark. So $5 would be that main battleground. And while nothing is guaranteed, is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price comes back up here and can push through that level, even if you just want to call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, because a bunch of people are watching that area, but a break of that area, could that generate additional buying pressure? Absolutely. So if you like, breakouts, then right up there at the $5 mark is an interesting level. In terms of areas of support, a little trickier here because this was such a monster move that it created a little bit bigger of a space within the areas of support. So I'm not saying it'll pull down at $3.30, but that's just the former breakout point right there. And that's just where, the basic technical analysis comes into play when areas of resistance are broken and closed above. They tend to act as support. Or I guess, to be fair, though, you can maybe consider that area right there a miniature area of support. But for more of an overarching area, I'd consider $3.30 that main level. But in my opinion, the most interesting dynamic here is all about that $4.99 mark, or let's just call it $5, and whether or not the price can get above it. Next one here, ticker symbol CRGE. Nice pattern here has formed, so let's get this drawn out. So the first part of the, need to grab a trend line. There we go. First part of the pattern right here, that resistance trend line, and then the bottom part of the pattern right there. And then let me change that to green to represent more of the support dynamic of it, and then make it easier to see. Let's change it one color here. So we have resistance, we have support, we have the huge upwards explosion right here. And for you golfers out there, try to make it a little bit more visual. Put the golf hole down here, and this would be a bull pennant pattern. So as I've said, there are no guarantees, but is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price can come up to the top of the pattern here and break up through it, that break in of itself could create additional buying pressure? Absolutely. So if you like penny stocks, you like bull pennant patterns, keep an eye on it. Next one here, MARA, and the bearish pressure continues. Now, big picture wise, this thing is still very much so in an overall uptrend. So just want to, show that from a bigger picture standpoint. But near term right now, yeah, there's definitely some selling pressure that's showing up. And a level that I think a lot of people have probably started to draw is going to be that area of resistance right there via that trend line. And it also corresponds very nicely with that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. So you kind of have essentially a little bit of a double whammy of resistance right there. So keep an eye on that moving forward into next week as that main resistance of kind of where the sellers are at. And that's also now starting to document if this thing is going to turn around and roll over, then you would expect it to put it in lower highs. And that trend line can help measure whether or not this is putting in lower highs or not. In terms of if the price rolls back down, then, and I think I talked about this in past videos, but the level now that is getting more and more relevant is going to be, I apologize. You can tell it's Friday. That was not MARA. That was MAR. This is now MARA. So I guess you got a little bit of a bonus one in there, MAR. But MARA is the one that I wanted to actually focus on. And yeah, good thing it's Friday. I apparently need it. But anyways, another rough day here for MARA as a thing put in newer lows. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level right there. And the first update comes about just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So moving into next week, $20.70 was that level of support, which again, you can see right there, tried so hard, opening 30 minutes, got a little bit of a bounce, but rolled back through there. You can see another time, try to get up through there, but classic example of that support, then turning into resistance right there. So keep an eye on that. In terms of levels of support moving forward, and I should also point out, was a pretty eventful move because this was the lowest it had been several days ago, but now it's down below that area. So a big break right there. And then in terms of next levels of support, next key level going to be potentially right down here around, that consolidation area of $18.30. So I'll throw that out there. But yeah, anyway, look at it. Very, very rough move. Very, very rough past couple of days. But we'll see if the price can try to get some sort of bounce off 1830 or not. Next one here, BCEL, and talked about this in yesterday's video. Drew that trend line into play right there, and just an absolute beautiful break of that level here. Came up, came back down, beautiful back test, and then from there, just rocketed, continued in the upwards direction. So great pattern there, and we have sort of a case of deja vu because same general idea here in terms of levels to watch headed into Tuesday. So we have this area of resistance right there. And then we have this area of support right there. Change that to green. And then I'm going to go through this quicker because you've already heard me talk about the bull pennant pattern. But resistance, support, big move up, a golf hole down here. So another bull pennant pattern. So once again, if you like penny stocks, if you like bull pennant patterns, you have a couple of choices with this one here now on BCEL. Next one here, AMC, and the bloodshed just continues. Lower lows, and then once again today, lower lows. So updates need to be done. Get rid of that level. First key update, just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when those levels of support are broken, close below, they tend to act as resistance, which you've already heard me say, but want to map it out one more time. So if there is any sort of attempted turnaround and curl back upwards, then public enemy number going to be right there at 465. So certainly keep an eye on that. If the price can push up through there, then from more of an overarching standpoint, main area of resistance going to be up there. Purple line, the 50-period moving average. In terms of levels of support, nothing new here to report in terms of levels other than just asking the question, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And the bleeding finally stopped right down there at 446. So therefore, that's going to be the newest level of support. So by no means nothing fancy or complicated in terms of that, just basic logic. But yeah, AMC, very, very brutal looking move right now. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online web class that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one here, ticker symbol UNG, and the price is now at a very, very, I would say, well-known area. So by no means am I trying to impress you or imply that this is some sort of great discovery, which brings about that talking point of self-fulfilling prophecies. When a lot of people are watching the same areas and wondering the same things, yes, it can be a very, very self-fulfilling prophecy type dynamic where you have people saying, I'm a breakout player. Oh, look, it broke out. Oh, I'm supposed to buy. And then people just buy and momentum comes from that. So point here being, you got to think a lot of people are now going to be watching 685. So if you like breakouts, and that could be a very interesting area. From more of a pullback standpoint, key level from that angle would be right down here, that former breakout area around the 655 mark. But all in all, very well-defined level up at 685. So let's see if there can indeed be some self-fulfilling prophecies next week. Next one here, ticker symbol AAL. Brutal move today. Big gap down, and then you can see opening 30 minutes, pure blood. Next 30 minutes, pure blood. Bit of a dead cat bounce, and then down its work to lows. So yes, more of the story here, a lot of downward selling pressure, which brings about, the question in my mind of, can this thing pick up just a little bit more panic, a little bit more freak out, and drag the price down to this 1290 mark, which in my opinion, there we go, is a very interesting level because you can see here through the history of things, last time the price got down around this area, very, very nice move in the upwards direction. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying if the price goes on there, it's for sure going to make that same upwards move. But it has bounced from before, so it's not irrational to think that it could get a nice bounce again. Even if it goes a quarter of that, a half of that, that would be a very nice move compared to what was being risked in the first place. So from a risk-reward scenario, if the price can kind of panic itself and bleed itself down to that 1290 mark, you could be looking at a very interesting risk-reward scenario. Next one here, ticker symbol TSLA Tesla, and I feel like a broken record, but wow. Once again, lower lows, lower highs, the downtrend continues. So going to get these levels updated, and you now know that when levels of support are broken, tend to act as resistance. But I'm actually going to adjust this level down because that level is kind of irrelevant given how far away it is. But more of a near-term area of resistance I would consider is right here at that level of $220. So keep an eye on 220. And even if the price does break above there, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a good step in the right direction, but I wouldn't get too excited because you still do have this big old 50-period moving average looming overhead if there were any sort of, break up through the 220 mark. In terms of levels of support, again, just asking that question, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was down there at 217. Wow, been a while since the price been down this low, as you can see here. But there's that green line. So last time the price was down around that area, way back here in early November. So it's been many weeks since the price been down around this area, but it is what it is. So keep an eye on these couple levels and a little bit of sideways action here. So is this some sort of bottom forming? We'll have to see what next week offers. Next one here, ticker symbol NIO. Talked about this one previously and how that green line, you would want to see it act as support. And you can see today, 30 minutes gap down, came up and then tried. It did a great job once, twice, 3 times. Tried so hard to hang on to that 730 mark, but when it finally failed right there, the rest is history as things have really fallen apart. So that is our first update that now needs to be considered an area of resistance and any sort of bounce back upwards. In terms of levels of support, next key one down here at 705. And honestly, I don't remember where that's coming from. Let's go find. There it is. So 705 is coming from these set of lows from way back in here multiple weeks ago. And, like what that does become very interesting because, yeah, last time the price got down here, very nice bounce. But as I've already said, doesn't mean that for sure guaranteed it'll bounce like that again. But it certainly becomes a plausible scenario to throw out there. But yes, this thing is bleeding. This thing seems to have quite a bit of bearish momentum. So we'll see if this bleeding and panic can carry it down to 705 and then see if you get a bounce. Next one here, ticker symbol TQQQ. It's an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market is going to rise, this one will also rise. And overall, it's just chopping around, having a problem with this resistance zone, which I've talked about over the past couple of sessions. So if you've been watching my other top 10 videos, you know that I've been talking about this area from basically 50-50 up to 51 and how this general area right here, I figured it would present some problems, and I mean, not to pat myself on the back, but it has been presenting problems. You go back to yesterday and yeah, made a move up there, rejected back down. Once again, made a move up here, got rejected back down. The biggest difference here, though, is that at least this rejection period did not go nearly as deep as what that one did. So, that's a little kind of step in the right direction. And it's just really a question of what's going to happen with this resistance zone next week. Can the price get up through it? Can it fight through? We'll see what happens with the momentum. But I just personally wouldn't get too excited with any sort of upwards move until those upwards moves are up above that $51 mark. Because other than that, there's just too much history right now of failed movements where, yeah, you got above it, got above the 50-50 mark, but both of those had failed back downwards. But overall, nice close to the week. And then as I speak right now, good solid last 30 minutes, good green candle there, nice volume right there. So we'll see what this one brings next week. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then definitely go get signed up for that free class next week. It'll be Thursday, January 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, do a couple things for me, please. Hit that like button, leave a comment. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching for next week. Those things help out the videos, help out the channel, and I thank you in advance. So again, go get signed up for that free class. Hit that like button, leave a comment below. Have a great weekend.